Hi everyone, I'm Billy No Mates and this is hashtag Let's Get Awkward. And damn, it's been an awkward few weeks. First, the internet went bananas. It was rubbish, we weren't getting good signals, the router broke, and we had to change providers. Then got accepted to my course for Open University, so I've been sorting all the way through that. And I need a new computer because the one I have it's not Microsoft software and it's not Apple software. It's the software that doesn't really accept anything you want to download things onto. So I needed to get a new computer, which I found but has not yet arrived, and we ordered it about 3 weeks ago. So still waiting on that. So everything I planned to do, like my YouTube videos and a lot of other things, have been put on the back burner. Plus my daughter had a week off from school as it is half term. So sorry for the lateness, but everything should be back on schedule now. Because my laptop have, at least it can create the episodes I want for podcasts. Now back to trans issues. And an issue that we're going to look at is LGBT as a whole. I followed Pink News on Facebook and noticed a lot of troll activity. When presented even with facts, the answer is still the same when I make my point across. They say, it is my opinion and you should respect it like I respect yours. It's a bit of a contradiction though, because asking me to respect your opinion while shitting on mine. I've had trolls telling me I should focus on something worthwhile instead of doing a podcast about trans issues. I never realised helping people get a better understanding of trans non-binary issues was not something worthwhile. To me, it is. I mean, it came from conservative cisgendered people who whinge about refugees and immigrants taking the jobs and benefits of the country, saying it's taken away from the ones who need it, i.e. people who were born in this country, only then to complain about people who are on the benefits as it bleeds the country dry and they should get a job, yet not taking into account any personal circumstances, the economy of the area they live in, the population, crime rate, etc. of those who claim it. It's a double-edged blade they love to use so often just to say I'm right about everything. People seem to forget what an opinion is. Well, it means, in the Oxford Dictionary, your feelings or thoughts about someone or something rather than a fact, synonym, view, opinion, about, of, on, somebody, something. We were invited to give our opinions about how the work should be done. Now you're probably wondering why I'm talking about opinion. Opinions can be dangerous, as some occasions they are taken as facts and used as such. Saying being LGBT is wrong, a mental illness, an abomination, pedophiles, etc., is not an opinion, it's discrimination. People use these so-called opinions to shape laws, behaviours, services, outlooks, and more, resulting in innocent people getting harmed physically, emotionally, and mentally. At one point, it was against the law in the UK. Alan Turing, for example, was a man with a brilliant mind, best known for being the father of computers and led a team during World War II to decode secret German messages sent by the Enigma machine. Sadly, he was arrested and convicted for acts of gross indecency, which he admitted to. He was chemically castrated, lost his security clearance, meaning he could no longer work for the GCHQ. In 1954, Alan Turing was found dead in his home from cyanide poisoning. The inquest ruled it was suicide. I do recommend the movie The Imitation Game, as Benedict Cumberbatch does a breathtaking performance. But back to the issue, this example shows how an opinion created a law that destroyed the mind and life of a brilliant man whose work influenced generations of computers and the internet. I covered misconceptions and misinformation in the last episode, where people have formed ideas of what trans non-binary are. Whether to have pineapple on a pizza or not is an opinion, but allowing humans to have human rights we all deserve is not. People are attacked or even killed for living their true selves. Their opinions are forcing them into boxes they don't fit and expecting them to live with it no matter what happens to them. It's bad enough there is misinformation and lies being spread over the internet, leading to more opinions being shaped. According to Pink News, 2020 has been the worst year for transgenders. In the US, 31 innocent people have been murdered, and add that to the number since 2013, the number is 196. Innocent lives gone forever because of one person's opinion about them. Selena Reyes Hernandez, she was shot by a man who she brought home with her. When she said that she was trans, he became upset and left, only to return with the gun and shoot her in the head. Sadly, the majority are Black and Latino. Innocent people are being attacked for being themselves, and they are hurting no one in any way, shape or form. Seems even more weird this month being Black History Month, and a lot of people are complaining about it being shoved down their throats. They get 1 month a year, and so do LGBT. While in schools, the history lessons, what we learn, is being controlled, leaving out massive gaps of Black and LGBT history. As many people find it upsetting, they don't want the romantic fantasy of the past being ruined. British fantasy in history is tea and cakes on the lawn while playing cricket, not giving attention to the slave trade, illnesses, and ignoring horrifying actions of Winston Churchill, and that includes how 4 million Indians starved to death when he took their food away. Yet people still glorify him as a hero, which makes me ask, can any good deed wipe out a grave evil? In some cases, the answer has been no, but with Churchill, it seems to be a bit of an exception. But back to the issue of opinions. The captain on Twitter said it best. A fact is information minus emotion. An opinion is information plus experience. Ignorance is an opinion lacking information, and stupidity is an opinion that ignores facts. We need to stop confusing opinions with facts or even calling it an opinion. As stated above, it's information plus experience, whereas trolls have said to me is ignorant and just plain stupid. They send me links to studies by people who have been kicked out of their fields for spreading misinformation, as they based it on one study that they either ignored the results as it didn't help prove their point, they created fake results to prove their point, and many other factors. Gender is constantly changing, even more so now. Sorry, I was told by a lot of haters to use the term sex. So sex/gender, or whatever you like to call it, is more than biology itself. Many cultures accepted more than two, and that men and women were born differently physically, they were still loved and accepted. Somehow we either forgot this or we just ignore it. In history, people on the wrong side had views on slavery, votes for women, as well as equal pay, a benefit system and gun control. Ignoring the US on gun control because it is mind-fucked, but they were on the wrong side, they had the wrong views, and look where they are now. And now there are views saying that trans women will erase cis women's history and their contributions. Why would they erase something they were part of, something they also fought for? Trans women face not just sexism, but transphobic situations. I don't know about anyone else, but I won't stand by a group of people who want rights and to be equal, while they attack another group who also wants rights and be equal as well. It's messed up. Instead of listening to whispers of lies made by the powerful who want to stay in power, why not join with others who are being oppressed themselves? At the end of the day, it's just one giant chess game. Tactics are being used to divide us by making up nonsense, and instead of examining this information to prove it to be false, people follow it believing it to be true and go along with it, especially if it's posted on Facebook or Twitter because it has to be true if it's posted there. I feel like with stuff like this, I'm going back to a story I rewrote for a previous episode. It's from the Bible in the book of Matthew, and I'll repeat it again. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven can be compared to an employer who had hate in his heart for LGBT and wanted to protect the sanctity of marriage and decided to fire them. In the process, one of his employees was brought in who was LGBT. The employer felt strong doing this as there was no law stopping him from doing so and started with a supervisor. But the man fell down before his master and begged him, "Please do not do this. I have a family to support and we will lose our home. We will have nowhere to go." Then his master was filled with shame of his actions and love for his employer, and he released him and allowed him to keep his job, then asked for forgiveness. But when the man left the office, he went to a fellow employee who was trans and beneath him, but was jealous that they were harder at working and afraid they would take his job. He grabbed them by the throat and demanded they clean out their desk as they were fired. His fellow servant fell down before him and begged, "Please do not do this. I have a family to support. We will lose our home. We have nowhere to go." He pleaded, but the supervisor wouldn't listen. He had them fired as there was no law to stop them from doing so. It feels like a Bible story I was told when I was a kid. A lot, to show kindness to others. Even though there is no law to say you have to be kind, you still should be kind. If you want to look at the original, it is in Matthew chapter 18, verse 23 to 30. But as I said, I've altered it. We all need to look at how we behave with each other. There have been many times where I've approached an issue civilly to discuss this with facts and just, saying, let's look at this, let's break it down, only to have backlash with cheap shots against me personally. Am I rich? No. Currently, I'm looking for work in a small area where jobs have gone down dramatically due to COVID, and with raising a kid, it makes travel an issue because I can't go that far. I'm currently back in education to get more skills, and yet I'm still being poked for it. Funny how someone says you can't have a view on a topic because you don't work. Well, if you are not LGBT or you enjoy watching LGBT porn or movies, listening to LGBT actors, actresses, songs, etc., then you don't get a say in the matter either about whether the government should take away or deny their rights. Especially someone who said I mansplained, which I kind of found really wonderful because a hater said that transgenders don't exist, but then when he insulted me saying I mansplained, he acknowledged me as a man. So I proudly said to him, well, if you can acknowledge me as a man, then maybe you can acknowledge a trans woman, as a woman. And with what I said, this may be a lot to take in, but also gives a lot to think about. If you want to learn more about trans non-binary, then you can go to mermaiduk.org.uk. We are not sponsored by them. We never have been. But we love mermaids and always do. If you wish to support the podcast, you can go to paypal.me/Let's Get Awkward. The link is also in the description of the website Podbean. And I'm also on Spotify as well as Anchor.fm. But that is our episode for now. I'll see you next week and everything's settled down. And remember to stay awkward.